Well, hello again from St James's Park, where they're just watering the pitch over my shoulder there. Now, it always baffles me that it's been raining all day, quite why they feel they need to water the pitch as they do, but anyway, I'll leave that to the experts. Yeah, and the weather, I mean, the performance of Newcastle at times was as ugly as the conditions, wasn't it? But Eddie Howe doesn't care about that. We've just spoken to him down there in the press conference room, and the word he used was relief. You know, he said it wasn't pretty, it wasn't free flowing, he preferred to win beautiful. But yeah, he'll take that, and I'll go beyond that. You know, I'm always someone who likes to, in my analysis, go beyond the result and be a little more sort of nuanced as to what it says going forward. And anyway, we'll come on to that. But first of all, a couple of new features for this week's video. Innovation, that's what it's all about. And at the end of this recording, I'm going to give my old pink merit marks: 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. I don't know about you, but I love the pink landing on a Saturday night and seeing who Alan Oliver and John Gibson have given their stars to. So yeah, 3 for Newcastle's best, 2 stars, then 1 star. I'll also, in the community tab, leave a poll as well, where I'd be interested to get your thoughts on Man the Match too. But yeah, first of all, as well, before I forget, yeah, like, subscribe, and in the description below, all the links to my Daily Mail match report and reaction stories as well. So, but yeah, the game itself, now, it was a win, and Newcastle, as Eddie Howe said, they needed to win on the back of 3 straight defeats, but it was also a game that for me threw up as many questions as answers. Was it a victory allied to a performance where Newcastle were back to their best? No, far from it. And you know, on a different day, Newcastle don't win that game. It needed a stroke of fortune. And while I don't want this to come across as negative, as I touched on there before, you know, I always like to try and give a balanced, honest view, and I didn't think Newcastle were good today. It was a victory for different types of qualities, for hard work, for resilience, for a brilliant penalty from Callum Wilson. Yes, there were some good individual performances within that, but are they back to the team who, for example, 12 months ago here, beat the very same side, Brentford, 5-1, and that was a day that showcased everything good about Newcastle. They're not there at the moment, and yes, the caveat to all of this is that victories such as that can be the springboard, you know, they can be the jump start for something better. But coming out of that, I would still say that Newcastle have got 1 or 2 issues, and we'll go back to the start of the game. They started really poorly, you know, for 25-30 minutes. Brentford were the better side. They passed and moved. Newcastle tried to press and chase, really. That's all they were doing. They were chasing shadows, and really they were lucky to get to the half-hour mark at 0-0, and I just thought Eddie made 5 changes. I know why he did. When I saw the team earlier today, I thought they were positive changes. I thought it was instructive that he'd picked players we'd been working with during the international break, and to that extent you would have expected a little bit more cohesion in implementation of a game plan from the off, and it just wasn't there. And you've brought Elliot Anderson and Sean Longstaff into midfield. Now, if you're going to go with the Sean Longstaff project, so to speak, he needs games to play. Don't judge Longstaff on that. He's shown previously he needs a run of momentum. He was okay today. He did some good. He plugged some holes. They didn't look certainly in the second half as vulnerable in that sort of central area, and that was because of his presence. But there was some sloppy things as well. He needs games. Elliot Anderson, I think you can probably bring Elliot into a midfield that is working and that is functioning, a midfield in a team that isn't quite at the moment. It's going to be harder for him. Nonetheless, in the second half, he got on the ball a lot more and tried to make things happen. So yeah, the first half performance they lacked. We are talking about a victory here, and this does, again, you know, it does sound negative, but I'm going to go through the game. The first half, we can't ignore it. You know, they lacked energy, urgency. They were pedestrian. They were going from left to right without really being penetrative. You know, Callum Wilson had a really isolated, frustrated first half, but that's nothing to do with Callum Wilson. It would have been exactly the same if Alexander Isak had been up there. It was the unit behind him that was failing, really. I thought Harvey Barnes played within himself in the first half especially. Anthony Gordon tried to make things happen. He ran about, but it just didn't. Bruno as well, you know, was still a little bit off it. Then you go into the second half, and we'll talk through the performance and the decisions which ultimately swung the match. And Newcastle finished the first half stronger, come out the second half were better. Barnes looked like a different player, got on the ball a hell of a lot more, was probing. Gordon as well was busy, and I was going to go into Gordon winning the penalty there, which I thought was very cute, by the way. We'll get into that. But first of all, Newcastle have a goal disallowed. And this, for me, it's been a bugbear of mine for a long time now, you know. Goalkeepers have the same level of protection as those listed buildings outside the back of the East Stand. Honestly, it's just an exclusion-free zone, and we watched the replay in the press box, and first of all you think there's a handball, and I'm sorry if there is a handball in there and we've missed it, but my understanding coming out now and giving this reaction to you is that it was disallowed for Wilson's arm across the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper's got two arms himself. Anywhere else on the pitch, if a defender jumps and Wilson's arm is there, is not given as a free kick, is it? So to disallow that was bonkers for me. Was a really poor decision. But then a few minutes later, Newcastle get a stroke of fortune, and I must admit, on real time. So I'm sat here. I'll show you the view I had. So I'm sat there, and over my shoulder there's the Gallagher end. So we see Mark Flecken come flying out, sliding out, real time. It looks reckless. It looks fast, and I've just gone penalty straight away. I thought it was a penalty. I was surrounded by Brentford staff, by the way, as well. So yeah, they weren't too impressed with my my assessment of it. They disagreed, and after watching a couple of replays, I sort of come round to their way of thinking. Certainly, one angle looks as if Anthony Gordon has bought it. In that he's the goalkeeper's body is there. He's ran into him. He's toppled over him. Whatever way you want to put it, and I understand that point of view. Thomas Frank was really strong afterwards in asserting that himself. But the flip side is that Mark Flecken was reckless. He was needless what he had to do. The ball was running away from play, slid. He's out of control, and Anthony Gordon has accepted the invitation to go over there into. To an extent, is that not a penalty? I don't know. Eddie Howe thought it was. Thomas Frank thought it wasn't. There you go. Thomas Frank as well, by the way. I've always had a lot of time for him. He let himself down in the press conference there. One of my colleagues, Damien Spellman, asked a question about the penalty. Innocent question, journalist, neutral, and he comes back with the age-old, are you from Newcastle? Did you want it to be a penalty? What do you think? I thought that was really poor. No need for it at all. Jurgen Klopp tried the same thing with me 2 weeks ago when I queried Trent Alexander-Arnold's what should have been 2 yellow cards early on, and Klopp started going down the route with me. If you wanted it to be, probably recognised my accent. Well, I don't want it to be. I don't not want it to be. The same with the penalty. This might sound jar with you guys who are watching this, who are Newcastle fans, but really, I'm not bothered. It's you want I don't want the decisions to be right. No, I just want the game to be a game with stories and incident, and give me something to write and talk about. And for managers to come in and say that, I think it's poor, really poor. Didn't reflect well on him, and perhaps his bitterness and sense of frustration was amplified by the fact his team did play well, and they did play well. Listen, Brentford are a good side. Their midfield looked far better than Newcastle's midfield in the first half there, the way they popped it about. I thought Mathias Jensen, a player I've always liked, I've seen him play for Denmark a couple of times live over in Copenhagen. He was very good. Newcastle looked like they had problems early on. Players were finding space in those pockets we've spoken about previously, and it's a good save from Nick Pope early on. That keeps them in it from Aaron Hickey. I do think if they'd gone a goal down, that would have been a real test, because, as I say, Newcastle were really playing without imagination. I thought the fans, the crowd were brilliant. They recognised the team were struggling. I thought they really did. You could tell by the nature of the support. They were aware it was a team in need of a lift, in need of backing. It wasn't the time to, even though things weren't happening for them, there was loose passes, it wasn't the time for the crowd to get on their back, and I think that helped. I think the home support was massive today in mentally affecting their players, and it just shows the power of St James's on a day like today. But yeah, it swings on that moment, a moment of good fortune, and Wilson puts it away. And what a penalty! Wow, I love his quote afterwards. Pressure is for tyres. Brilliant penalty, top corner, and I thought his overall game today, as much as he was isolated in the first half, I thought his hold up play. And I said in the video yesterday, didn't I, bringing Callum Wilson back in, I called this yesterday to a degree. Now he tripped over there. Yeah, that would have been good video, but. Just when the chips are down and things have gone a little flat, you sometimes need the ego and the want of a player like Callum Wilson to be the main man, to grab that and make the headlines and make it about himself. That is what you need when confidence is low elsewhere on the pitch, and Wilson was that man today, and it's because of his general play. I think, helped Newcastle play further up the pitch, the way he held the ball and brought in the likes of Wilson and Gordon in the second half. Wilson will come to my a little clue there, but will come to my pink stars very shortly. Elsewhere, at the back as well, the first clean sheet of the season, and that just does everything to Sven Botman, doesn't it? When he's in the side, wow, the defence, it looks different. Other players, not do they look different as a unit in terms of what Botman brings himself. He makes everyone else look better as well. And there weren't necessarily, even though there were a couple early on, as the game went on, there were less of those nervy moments where you really thought a Brentford equaliser was coming, as there was. Remember the Liverpool game a couple of weeks ago? We were sat in the press box, Liverpool down to 10 men, and after Botman had gone off injured, I think it was, you knew that goal was coming. They were all over the place really, and as it was down at Brighton, wow, that was without Botman, that really did. I joked afterwards on the video that day, didn't I, saying it was Sven Botman's best game for Newcastle, just because it showed how much they do miss him. Him back in there today, very good. Bruno Guimaraes has taken a little bit of stick recently. I didn't think he was great first half, but second half I thought he'd come into it more, took a little bit of responsibility, and the midfield as a whole were much improved and didn't leave the back four exposed as they have done in recent games. So yeah, it's as I say, it's a win. I said in the video yesterday, didn't I, that the performance for me would be informative as to where Newcastle were. The performance for me still says there is work to do, and it was the question I asked of Eddie afterwards. You're not at your best, I said. How do you get back there? He said he accepted the question. I think he accepted the validity of it, but he just said now probably isn't the time for deep inspection. I think they're just hoping that they can use the momentum in the Saturday or Tuesday back next weekend. That the pace of that perhaps to use a game like this as the spark for the turnaround they need, because it's the same manager, the same brilliant manager, it's the same very good players. For whatever reason at the moment, they're just not really clicking as the once did. Other newsy bits to come out of the press conference: Sandro Tonali was on the bench today, fit enough to be on the bench. He would only have been used in an emergency, but looks like he's going to be okay for Tuesday. He's scheduled to speak to us press guys on Monday night at the San Siro, so he must definitely be involved. That's the plan anyway. Joe Linton won't be. He's come back from Brazil with a recurrence of a knee injury. We're looking at a few weeks there. Which is a blow. I'm on the record of saying Joe Linton is, for me, when he's at his very best, the one player who made the biggest difference. I think last season hasn't started this season the way we know he can play. And perhaps that knee injury was an issue there. So yeah, those are the little newsy bits to come from the press conference. And yeah, time for those merit marks. I promised you. I do love these. I'll put them on screen now. This should work. Bear with me if it doesn't. But yeah, 3 stars Callum Wilson, 2 stars Sven Botman, and 1 star Anthony Gordon. Please go to the community tab and leave your feedback as well. Yeah, I just thought, as I've touched on already, that Wilson was the character, the charisma, the force of personality they needed today, and that is why that's probably why they've won the game. Coupled with Sven Botman's defending, 2 stars, and Anthony Gordon, his endeavour throughout, and the cuteness and the cleverness to win a penalty. I'm not accusing him of cheating, as much as I think it probably wasn't a penalty. I don't know. It's there to be won because the goalkeeper makes a stupid rash decision and slides out of control. So there you go. I think that's everything. I'm now going to go for a quick beer, one last real ale before the Moretti of Milan in 48 hours time. So yeah, if you guys are going, safe travels. There's so much more to come over mail platforms over the next few days. Like I say, click on the links below. My match report, Mail on Sunday match report, will take you through, and some coach reaction as well. So yeah, thank you again for watching, guys. One last little spin around and now deserted St James's. There you go. Hit like, hit subscribe. I always forget to say that, and I'll see you again in a couple of days' time from Italy, where Newcastle United will be playing Champions League football. Okay, bye bye.